We read in our scripture today about God. God who's so mighty, who's forgiven our sins, who has given drink to the wild animals and has been the one God, the only God. And as we talk about our sermon today, we have to keep that in mind, although I'm not preaching on that passage. I'd like to read to you from Mark 7. And from then he arose and went into the borders of Tyre and Sidon and entered into a house and would have no man know it, but he could not be hid. For a certain woman whose young daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him and came and fell at his feet. The woman was a Greek, a Syrophoenician by nation, and she besought him that he would cast forth the devil out of her daughter. But Jesus said unto her, Let the children first be filled, for it is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it unto the dogs. And she answered and said unto him, Yes, Lord, yet the dogs under the table eat of the children's crumbs. And he said unto her, For this saying, Go your way, the devil is gone out of your daughter. And when she was gone to her house, she found the devil gone out, and her daughter laid upon the bed. In the past 3 years, I've preached from Mark 7 twice, and I've just totally skipped over that passage. It wasn't saying anything directly to me, so I didn't have anything to pass on to you. This time when I read it, it leaped out at me. There is truth in there, and there are things that we need to know. This same story is in Matthew 15, a little more elaboration about the details, but still the same story. We all have problems, right? I don't want to make it a downer after that wonderful, rousing, uplifting song, but we all do. We have physical problems, financial, spiritual. We have concerns about what tomorrow's going to bring. We worry about just about everything. And this woman was just like us. She had a daughter with a serious problem, a demon, causing her to act out and do irrational things. The woman, a Syrophoenician woman, a Greek, actually a Canaanite, if you want to go back to the Old Testament. Joshua was leading the armies of Israel, and he was told to totally wipe out the Canaanites, but he didn't. And so there were still descendants of those people thousands of years later. This woman had a problem, a serious, serious problem. How many times have we been concerned over something going on with our children? We can all relate to the desperation she felt because something was going on with her daughter. She had gone to all of the people to help her, all of the family members, her religious leaders, the physicians of that time. No one could help. She had heard of Jesus. She decided that she was going to seek him out. Now, we're always hearing about how Jesus was feeding the multitudes, and he was preaching, and he was traveling, and he needed rest. And every time he went for rest, there was another person with a need right there for him to deal with. He had gone into a foreign area, Tyre and Sidon. That's not where the Jews lived. He'd gone there to rest, but yet she found him. Christians, by giving their love, by living their Christianity, draw people to them. Jesus was our example of that. Wherever he was, people found him. They had needs. They knew he could meet them. She was not Jewish. She was not of their race. She was not of their culture, not of their religion. Actually, and she was a woman, don't forget that, despised by the Jews, had no rights to come to Jesus at all. Nothing in her life gave her the right to come to Christ. But yet she came before him and she asked for his help. She fell at his feet and she asked him to heal her daughter. The Jews, the disciples, wanted to send her away, again, because she had no right to be there. And Jesus was tired, and they were his defenders. They were protecting him. These people, the Greeks, the non-believers, the non-Jews, all of the Gentiles, were looked upon as dogs. There was no political correctness in the language at that time. They weren't Jews, they were dogs. They weren't of the culture, they were despised. There was no social presence at that time causing or trying to legislate kindness. They wanted to send her away. Don't care what your problem is, lady, you have no rights to be here. That's sad, isn't it? But yet, she had a morsel of faith that caused her to come and bring her problem to Jesus. She knew that he was the one that could meet her need. She asked him for help. He did not respond. He gave her silence. She asked him again for help, for her daughter. And he said, "It is not right for me to take the children's meat and give it to the dogs." Jesus came to minister to the Jews. He came to make that sacrifice so the Jews who walked in faith, following him, believing the Messiah was coming and looking forward to him, so they could be receiving newness of life, so they could be redeemed through the sacrifice that Jesus was coming to make. And when he said, "It's not right for me to give you this gift that I have for children," he's saying, you're not a Jew. You have no right to ask me for anything, and I am not obligated to give it to you because you are not my purpose for being here. But yet he said to her, "It is not right for me to take the children's bread and give it to the dogs." Was Jesus being condescending, rude, mean by referring to her as a dog? It sounds like it, doesn't it? But in the translation, the word that's used here for dog is the loving, kind word that's referring to puppies. Now, if you're talking about dogs, you're thinking about the mean ones that you've encountered over the years that you don't want anything more to do with. The pit bull that was going to take my poor Webster apart this week, that's what we're talking about dogs. But if we're talking about puppies, everybody just kind of softens, don't you? And you think of puppy breath, and you think, oh, look in your face, and you running across the yard. It's a whole different situation. And even though he said the word that's interpreted dog, she did not take that as an insult. She took it as encouragement. Think of your dog that sits under your table while you're eating. And you've even taught it not to beg, right? But it's just there, just in case something falls off the table. Just in case your hand would sneak down with a little morsel of meat or a chocolate chip cookie or something that you're going to give to your dog. The family pet, the one that's loved, that receives from your hand. And she said, even the dogs receive the crumbs from the children's table, meaning, I know you're here to give this gift of salvation. You're the Messiah fulfilling the prophecy for the Jews, but yet there's got to be something left over for me because I believe. And as Jesus was kind of putting her off and not meeting her need immediately, he could have just said, all right, your daughter is delivered, go home, she's fine. But he didn't. He put her off. He made her keep asking, and her faith increased as he gave her a little encouragement. As she was in his presence, her faith increased, and she was relentless. She persisted in getting what she wanted from this man who could meet her needs. And he did. He said, "For this saying," she said, "even the crumbs from the children's table can be eaten by the dogs." And he said, "For this saying, go your way. The devil is gone out of your daughter." Matthew 7:7-8 says, "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks receives, and he that seeks finds, and to him that knocks it shall be opened. Or what man is there of you, if his son asks bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks a fish, will he give him a serpent? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father, which is in heaven, give good things to them that ask of him?" The story here this morning is ask. Jesus has what you need. Whether it's physical, financial, spiritual, whatever that need is, he has it. And he's waiting to grant it to you. He may not grant it to you in your time, but he has the answer, and he will meet your need. Now, this came to me very, very strongly while I was at the beach. This is a picture of Seal Beach, where Mike and I were on vacation. And I know you're probably tired of hearing about vacation, but they happen so seldom I have to keep talking about it. My friend, the pelican. This is my beach towel right here. And the wind was blowing the sand, and so my beach towel was totally covered with sand. I was laying on my stomach, asleep, and I felt this tapping on my ankle. And I thought that was very strange because I wasn't with anybody. And there aren't many things blowing around the beach, but I sat up really quick to see what it was, and I was eye to eye with this bird. He was sitting on my beach towel, and I had rolled over. He's large. This is not a close-up. This is how close up he was. In fact, I had to lean back with my camera phone to get his picture. And it's not really great because I couldn't see, the sun was bright, and I was hoping I was going to catch him. The lifeguard had been watching, and he came over immediately and said, "Don't worry, he won't hurt you, but he's sick. He's been on the beach for a few days. Don't touch him." And I looked around, and he was the only pelican there. This is the breakwater where the river's coming down in, and the pelicans are over on the other side pretty much. They're not on the side of the beach where the people are. So I said, "Okay, you have chosen the only person on the beach that has no food, I'm sure of it. So why are you here?" And I'm just having this little conversation with this bird, and he's just sitting there looking at me. And I was told later on that it was a female, but it's just so much easier to call him a he. And he just sat there. And I thought of Peter when he went by the lame man at the gate, and he said, "Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have I give unto you." And I says, "All right, bird, you're sick. I don't have anything I can give you. I have no food. I feel so sorry for you, but God can help you." So I prayed for him. And we had nice ongoing conversation. I talked. He turned his head this way and that way. People were coming up and snapping pictures and saying, "Can I take a picture of your bird?" I'm saying, "Sure, take a picture of my bird. It's fine." Yeah. Well, I realized I was in my swimsuit, and I was getting a little uncomfortable with all these people and the cameras and everything. And so I decided to put on my shirt. And I kind of flipped the sand out of it because it was totally covered with sand. And I leaned back because I didn't want to scare the bird. And as I'm slipping it over my head, the bird must have thought I went away because he moved further onto my blanket and tapped me on the shoulder. This was a persistent bird. He wanted something from me, and he was not going to leave till he got it. And I had nothing to give him except my sympathy and my prayers. That was it. Only my prayers, because sympathy was not going anywhere. Anyway, got the shirt on and everything, and I says, so what is it with you? How long are you staying? And he flapped one wing and moved one leg, and the other side didn't move. A little while longer, and a lifeguard drove up in a pickup. And he got out, came and said, how long's the bird been here? And I said, I don't know, maybe half an hour. It seems like a long time. He says, well, do you know what's wrong with it? I don't know what's wrong with it. The guy told me he was sick, you know? And so I says, well, one wing works, one leg works, the rest of it doesn't seem to. And the lifeguard said he was sick. So the second lifeguard sat down and kind of peered underneath him and found out he was wrapped up with fishing line. It was around his wing. It was connected to his legs, so if he moved one or the other, you know, it was not going to work. He said, I am going to take this bird back to the shop, and I will cut away the line and make sure he's healthy, bring him back to health, and then we'll release him again. He put the towel around the bird and carried him off, got in the back of the pickup and held him like you would a beloved child or pet. And they took off. I didn't see them again. We get so tied up. We get so tied up with the things of this world that hamper us from doing what we need to do, from reaching out and helping others, or just living our life a successful way. We need God to come along and clip that wire off of us, to release us, to be the people he wants us to be, to give his message of salvation to the world. When we need help, we need to be just as persistent as that bird. When I don't know, I do know why he chose me. Of all the people on that beach, God wanted me to learn a lesson. I did nothing to draw him to me, but I truly believe God sent him. He sitting on my towel with me, I mean really up close and personal, and he didn't leave. He'd been on the beach for days, diagnosed as sick, but nobody helped him. Nothing happened for that bird until prayer. God answers prayer. He has a reason. He wants to release us from the things that bind us up. He wants to increase our faith, and he wants to teach lessons to all of us through these experiences. Just as that bird was bound up with the fishing line and needed to be released from it, we are bound up with the things in our lives that come and cause us concern, bind us up so we can't reach out to others and give them the message of Jesus Christ and his power to free us, his power to allow us to walk in his footsteps, and his power to let us give his message to the world. If you're bound up today, ask, seek, find him, and he will release you from those things, set you on the path to be able to do the things that he's called you to do. God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor Jan.